In August of the year 1906 was born an American murderer, suspected serial killer and body snatcher. Even today, his crimes defy belief with the sheer scale of pure horror he unleashed on the world. Above all else, he proved to everyone that real-life monsters do exist. In today's video, we will show you where this evil man lived and where he committed some of his crimes. It's worth mentioning here that I will go into a brief description about what he actually did to some of the dead bodies, to which some viewers may find disturbing. Also, look out for details of the exact location of some of these places using what 3 words throughout the video. A young Ed Gein once lived in this house on Wood Street in Plainfield, along with his 2 parents and older brother Henry. The 2 boys lived a very unnatural life at home with their abusive alcoholic father and fanatically religious mother, who forbade them from socializing with anyone outside the family home. Especially women, who their mother would describe all women as impure and evil. In 1914, the family moved to this 200-acre farmland in Plainfield, Wisconsin. And in 1940, after years of alcohol abuse, Gein's father died, leaving the 2 brothers living under the strict moral code of their mother. This is the farmland where Ed Gein and his remaining family lived right up to his arrest. This whole area and the buildings in it have been totally eradicated. Nothing remains. After the suspicious death of his brother, Ed Gein was left to live alone with his mother, with whom he was obsessed. Loneliness, coupled with his mother's oppressive religious indoctrination, drove Ed to commit extreme acts in the years after the rest of his family was gone. In December 1945, Ed's mother dies following several strokes. Ed Gein was devastated, and not long after that, he began his reign of terror. He started by visiting local cemeteries at night to dig up the freshly buried remains of women who remind him of his mother. A macabre fact, Ed Gein is today buried in an unmarked grave next to his mother and his brother Henry. Just a few feet away from a few victims he actually dug up and took back to his home. A 52-year-old woman, Eleanor Adams, was dug up the very same day she was buried in 1951. Not far from there are 2 more graves close by, Marie Bergstrom and the grave of Mabel Everson. Upon exhumation these graves, they were both found to be empty after Gein confessed to stealing their bodies. From 1947 until at least 1956, it is believed that Ed Gein dug up the remains of at least 10 women and dragged them to his home, all in the dead of night, and was never caught. He would eventually be captured, though, once he started murdering women instead of digging them up. On December 8, 1954, Mary Hogan was closing up her bar in Bancroft. Ed walked in and shoots her, killing her instantly. He then drags her back to his farm. With no evidence at the scene, her disappearance remained a mystery until Ed's capture a few years later. This is the exact location of the bar as it looks today. On the morning of November 16, 1957, 58-year-old Plainfield hardware store owner Bernice Worden disappeared. The hardware store's truck was seen driving out from the rear of the building at around 9:30 a.m. Worden's son, Deputy Sheriff Frank Worden, entered the store around 5 p.m. to find the cash register open and bloodstains on the floor. Ed Gein was only actually charged with 2 murders, largely due to his mental health. This was one of them, and what happened to Bernice Worden was straight out of a gruesome horror film. A sales ledger on the counter showed that the last item sold that day was for antifreeze to a Mr. Ed Gein. He was immediately a suspect and was tracked down having dinner with a friend by the name of Lester Hill, whose children, unbelievably, used to be babysat by Gein himself. A sheriff's deputy discovered Worden's decapitated body in a shed on Gein's property, hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes at her wrists. The torso was dressed out like a deer. She had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and the mutilations were made after her death. However, it was only when police searched the farmhouse that the true horror of what they were dealing with became apparent. It really was the stuff of your worst nightmares. Searching the house, authorities found a wastebasket made of human skin covering several chairs, bowls made from human skulls, a corset made from a female torso skinned from shoulders to waist, masks made from the skin of female heads, Mary Hogan's face mask in a paper bag with her skull in a box, Bernice Worden's entire head in a burlap sack, with her heart in a plastic bag in front of Gein's potbelly stove. This was just a few of the horrors that were discovered on the first day. It is estimated that Ed Gein may have murdered up to at least 50 people, some of them children. But, like we mentioned earlier, he was only ever charged with 2 murders and convicted of 1. After his arrest, Ed Gein was brought here to nearby Wautoma, where he spent 4 days and nights in 1957 before being brought back in 1968 for trial. As for his farmhouse where he lived with his mother and the rest of his family, well, that was due to be sold. However, before that could happen, it mysteriously burnt to the ground.
There will be an auction here Palm Sunday, but this house and the personal belongings of Ed Gein will be conspicuously absent. Call it an act of God or whatever you will. The main attraction will be missing, reduced to a mass of rubble by a mysterious fire.
Ed Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield, is widely known to be the most evil and depraved serial killer in American history, if not the world. The horror of his crimes have even influenced a number of well-known stories and subsequent Hollywood movies. Here at True Location, we have tried to show you the main places which still exist to this day. But as you can see, very little remains. We hope you have found this interesting. If you did, please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel, and we do appreciate it. Until next time.